Hello, my friend. Please just generally ignore the sweat and the sounds of the AC. I already filmed a video without AC, and you know what? I'm not doing it again because it's packing season. I'm moving soon, so I will be packing for the next 48 to 60 hours or so. And I want to do a reading challenge. So I thought now would be a really good time to do a 24-hour reading challenge where I flip-flop from listening to books while I pack to reading the physical versions of the book when I have some downtime and need to like cool off because it's in the 90s and I'm in like an outdoor shed. I'm in a she shed right now and I am roasting alive. Do you see me glistening? Anyway, hello, my name's Elise. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, if you're not new, welcome back. It's great to see you again. Like I mentioned, I'm moving and I have an extended period of time to fully get to packing. Like, it's happening. I'm starting school again soon. I need to get this over with, but I can't do that with silence. Excuse me. So we have a few audiobooks that I have that coincide with physical books that I own. So first things first, I have Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I am so keen to read this because I hear it is a story about purposeful misrepresentation. This main character and her best friend are authors. Her author friend, who I believe is Asian, dies, and she takes her manuscript from this very popular author who just passed away and claims it as her own, and then does a bit of finagling to make it seem like she might be of Asian descent and things like that. So that look into that manipulation and the gray side, maybe the darker black side of things, and how it's interpreted in the publishing industry. So very curious to read this. Then we have The Blonde Identity by Ali Carter. This just looks like a fun whodunit spy situation. I've read all of her Gallagher Girl Academy series and loved all of them. So this looks like an adult version of that, kind of, except it's her twin sister who's the spy. Something happens to her because they think she's her twin sister. She's not. She loses her memory. She wakes up. She's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. This man's like, get up, so-and-so. She's like, who the F are you? And they go off and on this journey trying to escape. And I don't know what else happens, but I've heard it's a fun time. Then we have That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. I recently hauled this in my library conference hall. I got this at a thriller panel at the Texas Library Association for Librarians. That's what my master's is in, that I'm in school for. This just really caught my attention, and the other day the audio was on sale, so I snatched it up. So we're gonna have a go at this book. So basically this girl wakes up in a ditch and she can't remember anything, not even her name. So she goes to the police station. She's starting to kind of remember things, snatches here and there. This guy steps up claiming to be her father, but it just feels wrong to her. And of all of the memories that are resurfacing, he is not. So she thinks something's up. And then one more, I have the physical book up at the house, not down here, but I do want to get to Heartless, the second book in the Elsie Silver Chestnut Springs series. I recently read Flawless and loved it, and so I really want to read Heartless. I believe that that one follows Cade, who is one of the older brothers of the series. He is a grumpy grouch, and he's a single dad, and just kind of has this chip on his shoulder. And I believe that Willa, who is Summer's best friend from the previous book, I believe she becomes his nanny. And I really was hoping that she would get a book, and so I think that's what's happening. So I don't know which one to start first. They're all so different. She's varied. She's layered. The heat is the heat, y'all. It's getting to me. I don't know. Catch me in a bit. Okay, the hair has gone up. Ignore the hair. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna read the shortest one, or listen to the shortest one first on audio, and then work my way up. All of them are 9 hours. What are the odds? That's no help at all. No help. Well, probably That's Not My Name will be fastest because it's young adult. I think I want to go in this order. We'll see. We'll see. I'm a mood reader. But I think I'm gonna start with That's Not My Name. Who is she? I think the heat has gotten to me, y'all. I never reach for thrillers first. Okay.
That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. Narrated by Sophie Amos.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sweaty.
I think I might be dead. I try to gather my bearings.
Y'all, I didn't even start the timer yet. I'm such a dork. I recently did a poll and everyone really likes for you to count down from 24 hours rather than count up to 24 hours. So that's what we're doing. 23 hours. Ugh, my screen is so dirty. What is with me today? I don't know what's going on, y'all. 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. Go.
I never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. If all the things you never show, there are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart so slow. But if you don't
We're 30 minutes in and we made it to chapter 3 and I'm already shook. Maybe because I didn't actually read the back of the book, I'm just going based off what the author said at the convention, and she just said that thing about her waking up in the ditch, and then at the police station this man who claims to be your father, it feels wrong. Okay, so that just happened. That literally just happened within the first 2 chapters. And in the 3rd chapter, we get it from a dude's perspective. His name is Drew, and he's freaking out because he's trying to find his missing girlfriend because apparently everyone thinks he killed her. So now I'm like, is Drew this girl's boyfriend, or is there another girl? Okay, we're starting again. I am currently 22 hours and 42 minutes down. I am now on chapter 6 of this book. I'm enjoying it. I'm very engaged and my brain is just like working full speed, which is a little bit exhausting because my body is working a lot and my brain, and so I'm just like tired, but I'm very interested. I really liked Drew's perspective. It added a different element and like a slew of possibilities to the story because Drew is looking for his missing girlfriend. However, I'm not gonna say what it is, but I have a theory about the person the story is about and the person that Drew is looking for. Not gonna say what my theory is in case it comes true or doesn't come true, because like what if it comes true? Then I would spoil it for you. So I will update you later and let you know if I was correct or incorrect though. So I've made some progress packing. It's not gonna look like it to you guys, but I have created some space. We have that whole back wall back there where I'm stacking everything, and then in the middle, in the chaos, is the stuff that I'm still sorting through. I don't know when this is going up compared to when my moving vlogs are going up, but I have mentioned in those vlogs that I am literally going through every single thing I own and deciding whether I want to keep it or throw it away, donate it, get rid of it, give it to someone else, sell it, whatever. Like literally everything. I'm not being shy or reserved about it. I'm trying to be very kind of Marie Kondo, I guess. Just if it doesn't bring anything to my life and it won't bring anything to the near future of my life, then I'm gonna go ahead and let it go. And there are a few tubs I'm gonna keep that are kind of memorabilia, but I'll probably keep them at my home because we have storage. So I think I'm gonna try and keep that to a minimum of like 2 or 3 tubs, and the rest I'm gonna take with me or get rid of. So yeah, that's the plan. That's what I'm doing. It's pretty exhausting. I think I need to hydrate. I don't know if you can tell, but I am sweating. Gross. Just hit the title moment. currently just past 4 hours of the challenge, and I am on page 224 out of 290 pages. Even though it is almost midnight here, I'm gonna try and finish this today. I didn't get as much reading done as I had planned. I did stop the timer when I wasn't reading, but I don't regret it because I went and had dinner with my dad and we ran some errands together, which we don't get to do very often because of our conflicting schedules. And then when my mom got home from work, I paused and we like to chat for a little bit. This has been so fun. I have had so many theories come and go. I had a theory about like the timeline of things and I was wrong about that. I had a theory about what happened to one of the neighbors in this story and I was correct about that. Still have one more like big theory and I don't know if I'm correct about that yet because there are a few things that are not quite aligning, but then if I'm incorrect, then I have another side theory for that. I don't know if that made any sense. Basically, I have one major theory about who the main character is, about the girl who's missing her memory. I have a theory about who she is. And then if I'm incorrect about that, I have a secondary theory. I'm really enjoying it. It is really fast paced. I feel the suspense. Like, there's lingering danger, but no like immense someone's chasing you down danger, and I'm really grateful for that. Like, I'm vibing with that. This book so far is kind of reminding me of I Found You by Lisa Jewell a little bit. So I'm really enjoying how each chapter one little thing is revealed or one little thing is discovered. It just shifts your perspective and the information that you have. But I know based on what she said at the panel that there is a huge twist at the end. So I'm ready for it. So let's finish this up tonight. I have about 60 pages, so I'm thinking it's gonna take me like another 35-40 minutes. So let's see. Starting the timer again. Oh shit. Things just got crazy. Okay, the stakes just got upped. Now there's danger. Woo! I'm gonna have some crazy dreams tonight. Y'all, I'm so stressed. There's literally this much left of the book. Like 30 pages. And the twist hasn't happened yet. And like the big reveal hasn't happened yet. And I'm just like, I need to know. Well, my original theory was correct, but not necessarily in the way I anticipated it. Chapter is crazy. Oh. It is currently 12:30 a.m. We're down to about 19 hours. So this book took me 5 hours, which is longer than I think it would have normally took me if I just sat down and read this in one go, but shorter than if I had just listened to the audiobook the whole time. Nice. I enjoyed this. I'm glad I gave it a chance. And the twist was twisty, but it wasn't as twisty as I thought it was gonna be, so I appreciated that. But you saw my reaction, like, that realization, you know what I mean? It was good, and that little last chapter had me tearing up a little bit, the epilogue. Oh my goodness. There were some really good found family vibes in here. Those last few chapters, not the epilogue, but before that, were pretty wild. Got a little crazy. I'm so glad I went to that thriller panel at the Texas Library Association conference, because without that, I would never have picked this up. Ever. So I'm so glad that I went out of my comfort zone and went to that panel and learned about this book. I don't know what I'm gonna rate it. I'm gonna sleep on it. It's definitely at least a 4. But I'm gonna sleep on whether or not it's beyond a 4. So we'll see. I'm tired. I'm gonna sleep. I paused the timer, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. It is the next day. There are a gazillion sounds going on right now. The whole family is up to deep cleaning and outdoor work. So if you hear sounds, that's my family cleaning. So we have these 3 books on the docket. I actually think I'm gonna go for Yellowface. Who am I, reading 2 uncomfortable books in a row? Like, who is she? I don't know, it's just calling to me this morning. So I think that's what I'm gonna go ahead and get started on. Okay, it's only the first page, and I already feel the jealousy, the envy. I have made some progress. We are currently at 1750. I'm 21% into the audiobook, so I'm on chapter 5. Wow, a lot has happened. I am just fascinated because it really does toe the line of being immoral. June, or Juniper's best friend, she doesn't even really claim her as her best friend. She just claims her as a friend, Athena. They've just kind of been friends by circumstance for a long time. Friends of circumstance, wouldn't even necessarily say she really truly liked her, but it is what it is. I don't think June has a lot of friends herself either. Up and dies one night for a reason, and not a murder, promise, not a murder, but she dies, and this friend, June, sees her manuscript and takes it for herself, but it's a first draft. So June decides to take this manuscript, edit it, rewrite it, do all of the back work, which if you haven't written a book before, that first draft is like the easiest part of the book. As someone who has done that, I've not published, won't be publishing this book, but as someone who has written a first draft, done all of the like planning, writing, has done edits and stuff like that, like writing that first draft is so easy compared to everything else. So June does all of that and claims it as her own. It's not to say that June didn't do work. She put in the work, and she is getting deal after deal after deal and all of this publicity when she tried to publish her original first novel and it failed. It flopped. This one's doing really well, and for good reason, according to her. And I really like these little bits of the story where it's like June, who's the narrator, a very unreliable narrator, is almost telling the story second person and is like, look, what I'm doing isn't wrong and I'll prove it to you. Like, stop thinking so poorly of me. What I did was because of XYZ, and it's gonna result in ABC. And so I really like those little moments where she's like trying to get in your head and be like, what I'm doing is correct, it's fine. If you think about it this way, then it's fine. So it's been really interesting. I'm really enjoying it. I'm so fascinated by this story, and it's really interesting to see it in writing what my research has told me about publishing. Publishing is tricky, it's political, it's biased, and it's not always easy. Like what we can see, for example, with Rebecca Yarros with her Fourth Wing. Like, yeah, objectively it was fun. Like, I enjoyed that novel. Was it like the best fantasy novel I've ever read? No, it wasn't. It was a good time, but because of the work that the publishing and marketing team at Tor, is it Tor or Red Tower, whatever publishing house she has, because of the work that they put into her novel, it did so well. It became trendy, it became viral, and now look at all the sprayed edges that are in the industry. And it's not to say that there weren't sprayed edges before, but those sprayed edges and the marketing schemes that they did really sold people to give it a try. And then once they heard it was cool, plus the sprayed edges and the like scarcity of them, took off. Just little nuances like that. And so it's really fascinating seeing that in this book and hearing it from an author who's probably experienced some of this herself. I'm having a good time. I'm really glad I chose this as my next book. I don't know if you can tell, but I have made a lot of progress. That back wall is full of my stuff organized, and we're getting down to like the nitty-gritty things. Like, I have some kind of nostalgic things, and I'm like, I don't know if I'll use it for decoration, but I want to keep it. So how do I organize and sort that? Like, do I sort it and like put it into storage, or do I take it with me and like use it as little knickknacks or something? So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. And then I need to finish packing my books. So sad. I think I'm going to pack up the rest of my shelf today and just keep some of the books that I might maybe be able to read on my book cart. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna go back to listening to my book. I never wear my headphones like a normal person. It just doesn't. Okay, see you later. We're currently down to 16 hours and 43 minutes to go. I'm on chapter 10, page 126. A lot has happened. The book has finally published and things are going really well. She's getting lots of awards and stuff. She's gotten a little bit of pushback, especially from people who are attacking her status as a white author writing about Chinese history. And it's so interesting to see how her verbiage and language has changed when it's come to this book, because it's not even like Athena's story. What I did to Athena's story, it's like I wrote this. And so it's really interesting to see that change in language and how she's kind of like convincing herself that she did this and there's nothing wrong with it. The conversation of white authors writing about different races versus an author of a non-white author, a BIPOC author writing about white characters. So it's so interesting seeing this main character like explain her thought process and how it's okay. And it's just like, girlfriend. But you know, I don't even have a place to say anything because I don't know how to articulate the delicacies of that and why it's just not okay. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the verbiage or the language to express that. But she's digging her roots in, she's digging her nails into defending herself and why it's right, why it's okay. But we did have our first confession of guilt. I'm really interested to see how it's gonna play out. This book is fascinating and it really captures a lot of ambiguities in the world when it comes to race. I don't know, it's just really fascinating. I'm really enjoying it. It's so cool when someone is talented enough, and of course they have the help of their editors and stuff, but like it's so cool when someone is talented enough to take those complex feelings and uncertainties and put them into words that you understand, or like feeling that uncomfortable feeling when someone says something that you don't think is okay to say, but you don't have the words to express to them why that's not okay, and just things like that. So it's so fascinating. I'm so impressed with R.F. Kuang's writing. Getting the side eye from her. We just hit our title moment. Shit's going down. So it's uncomfy. I'm not smiling because it's funny or happy. It's uncomfortable. Finished Yellowface, and I'm cooking up some mashed potatoes for dinner, so I'm going to talk to you about this book while I prep those. This book was wild. I feel like I cannot properly explain my thoughts. My thoughts are still just like swirling, and I think they're going to for a while. This is one of those books that I could like not read anything for a week and continue to think about this book and just its commentary on a lot of issues. Let me just start by saying Junie is not a good person. And I knew that, but like it just slowly solidified as the book continued. But then that brings up a really interesting, conversation on, does her being a bad person invalidate some of the important facts that she brings up? She's not a good person, but she has some important things that have some a ring of truth to them. And anyway, so watch me pondering that for the next, week and a half of my life. Overall, this book was really enjoyable in a bit of an uncomfy way. But I'm really glad that I finally read it. I understand what some people have been saying and like discussing about this book. It really is an interesting peek into the publishing industry. And I know some of the things were like dramatized and are not all exactly, true. But there is definitely some rings of truth to it, which I think is like the whole point of this novel, is that how far can we get with just little bits of truth sprinkled into lies. But some of these things that happened in this book are what make me fearful of publishing a novel. Like, it's crazy. And just like the whole cancel culture thing and the trolls, and like, someone does something morally gray or not good, but does that justify people being complete trolls and like telling them to go kill themselves or giving someone a death threat? Like, interesting book. I'm really glad I read it. I'm gonna have to think on the rating for this one, because it's one of those books where the reading experience isn't always enjoyable, but like it makes you think. It was really well written, really fascinating. So I'm gonna have to think and simmer on my rating, but join me for the end of this vlog and maybe I'll have my thoughts put together by then. Gonna finish my mashed potatoes. I am the mashed potato gal of the family. I'm known for my mashed potato skills. I feel like none of my thoughts are really, I think all of my thoughts are just flowing together and none of what I'm saying is really making any sense. That book was unhinged. Now I feel unhinged. So we're gonna read and listen to a lighter book for the next one. Hey friends, so we are 13 hours and 11 minutes down from the challenge, and I started The Blonde Identity by Ali Carter. I'm currently 11 pages in. I know 11 pages really isn't long enough to, know much about the story, but I'm just not feeling it. I think because the past two books have been so fast-paced, I just want something a little bit slower, like a medium pace or something. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Heartless a go. I packed most of my books except for this cluster right here that I have brought up to the main house, and I'm gonna organize in my book cart. That's what I'm doing now, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started on Heartless. Maybe that'll give me a little bit of a switch up from the last 2 books, which has been thriller and like literary social commentary, and the last chapter was kind of thrillery, like it was wild. So I need a break from that. Let's get some sappy sweet romance going. All done organizing the book cart. This is some stuff that's going with me, but I want to keep inside the house. And these are books that I've already read but have not talked about in my monthly wrap-ups. We have just reached over halfway of the challenge. We're at 11 hours and 40 minutes. That's crazy because I feel like I've done so much reading. It feels like it's already been 24 hours. I guess it has been since I started the challenge and started this video. Oh my gosh, it's already 10 p.m. I am 2.5 hours into the audiobook. That is chapter 9. I'm really enjoying it, and I can confidently say that this was the right move for me for this video and to continue listening and reading. This is exactly what I needed, and I'm really enjoying it. Kate is grumpy, but Willa is just so... I really like Willa because she is funny, she's lighthearted, but she knows when to be serious, and she knows when to stand up for herself, because Kate can be a jerk, and he has been a jerk to Willa. And there's this scene kind of early on where he's being a jackass, and she's like, okay, then bye, like, I don't need this. And she's like, I'm gonna leave because I'm not going to stand for you being rude to me all summer. Like, that's not okay with me, and you shouldn't be okay with that either. I really appreciate that, because I feel like as women, depending on how we're raised, but a lot of women are raised to just be submissive and to just take it, and that's okay, and it's not. But not only does the responsibility lie with the person who's being a jerk for apologizing and adjusting their behavior, but I think it's really important for us to stand up for ourselves too and show them, like, we're not okay with that. Here is my boundary, and if you cross it again, like, bye. I respect myself more than how you're treating me. So I really like that because that's what Willa does. I don't know if you can see, but like, there's more space. We have packed a majority of the stuff. It's like over there. We have this right here, which I'm actually going to work on right now. It is a foldable wagon slash cart for my partner and I's apartment, because since we're parking in a garage and we're on the 6th floor, we are going to be using it for hauling in like groceries and for when we're moving and stuff. We also really like to go to the park, so that would be really nice to put all of our park stuff in and take it in the wagon rather than carrying everything. So I'm gonna do that right now. There are just a few little things here and there that don't really have a category or didn't really fit in with the other things, and so now I think at the end of this they're just gonna go in a random box. But we have made progress. It has been a long day, but I'm grateful for these books for keeping me company and entertained and giving me a good time. Oh my gosh, guys, look at how empty my shelves are. I packed them earlier. I'm still waiting on like smaller boxes because you just can't put you just can't put books in big boxes. It's too heavy and I worry about damaging them. And is this focused on me at all? I can't really tell. My screen, what is that called? The little flip screen that shows you what's being filmed is cracked quite severely. And it's really hard for me to tell if the video is focused or not. That's why a lot of my videos have been kind of out of focus lately. I'm gonna shut up now and I'm gonna continue working on this thing. I'll give you an update later. But the consensus is I'm having a really good time with Heartless. I really like Willa a lot. She's fun. And okay, wow, I just said I was gonna stop talking, but here I go, continuing. But I was a nanny. I actually just had my last day of being a nanny a few days ago. And so nanny stories are always very near and dear to my heart because they're very relatable to me. Though it's slightly because of these stories that I always stay very far away from the fathers, because I'm not interested in that. But the working with the kids part and the kids part of the story is always very near and dear to my heart and always tugs at my heartstrings. So that's already happened. There's already been some interactions with Luke, Cade's son, and Willa. It's just really cute. So I'm having a good time.
Never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do.
I'm so tired. It's 12:21 a.m. We have 10 hours and 39 minutes left. And we just hit our title moment for Heartless. I'm eating it up. I don't want to put it down. I think I'm gonna have to after this chapter though. This is such bad angle. I'm so sorry. I love this book. It's so good. I love Willa so much. And Cade's finally warming up to her. And Luke is just so adorable. And there was a situation where Luke was being picked on and Willa stood up for him. And I was just like, yes, queen. Okay, I think I need to go to bed. I've been really good about going to bed before 11 lately. And it's like 12:30 a.m. I'm pausing. 10.5 more hours to go. Okay. Good Lord. Good night.
I'll be here anyway. Then I press another kiss to his feverish temple and pass softly out. I'll wait for you.
Hey friends, and I am on chapter 25 of Heartless. I am loving it so much. I'm just like eating it up. Every time I think about coming and doing an update for you guys, I just like internally squeal. Cade is such a big softie, even though he's a jerk sometimes, but now his like humor is starting to shine through and he's getting more comfortable with Willa, and it's just so cute. I didn't expect there to be any kind of like sport or cowboy-y type thing aside from, you know, the fact that he runs the ranch and stuff like that, but he actually went to a kind of competition. I forget what it's called, but it's where you have to corral certain cows in like a certain time and the judges give you like a score for it. So he did that and that was really fun. I really enjoy seeing those little aspects of things because, I mean, I know them personally, I've seen them. I live near the cowboy capital of Texas, or is it the world? I don't know. Anyway, so I've been to a rodeo or 2 or 5 or 10. But it's just fun seeing that and not just like hearing them talking about it, but like actually going to that event in the story. A lot has happened, but I still like, I'm having such a good time not knowing anything about it, like that I don't want to tell you guys too much about it because I want you to have the same experience of like not knowing what's coming. I'm really enjoying the series. It's taking everything in me to not just like drop my TBR and continue the rest of the series immediately after this, but also I don't even know if I can do that because I think I've packed most of those books. I've only reserved a handful. Anyway, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I am currently at work. We technically have the day off, but I have so much work to do. I am the summer reading program coordinator at my library. First off, we started late because there was a switch in management. We got a new director into February, and then he asked me to help him, and I only work 15 hours a week, plus I'm in charge of story time, plus I'm in charge of social media and other things. So like, really, I have not had a lot of time, and we kick off this weekend. So I am here to make sure everything is finished. We have all of the stuff, and I don't have any volunteers to help me get all of this stuff ready. Just me. We have volunteers for the day of, but not to help me do all of the menial tasks. So I have a lot of work to do. Yes, I am getting paid for this. You bet your booty I'm putting this on my timesheet. But not gonna lie, I'm a little overwhelmed. So I will have Cade and Willa. That's not showing it anymore, that's me and my boyfriend. But I will have Cade and Willa via audiobook to keep me company while I finish all of this. That is the update. Gosh, I feel like I've gotten so much reading done this vlog. This is crazy. And I still have 8 hours. Wish me luck. much later, I finally finished Heartless. I finished it just around the 7-hour mark left to go. It was so good. I was so nervous because I was like at this much left. Things are going great, but then I was like, there's this much left of the story. So I just knew something had to happen, and something did, but it wasn't a third act breakup, and for that I'm grateful. I love when stories don't have third act breakups. I want to say that they're cliche, but they're also realistic in some circumstances, so I don't want to say that they're cliche, but you know, it's nice to stray away from that and to have a different third act conflict every now and then. I loved this book. This has been a really successful reading vlog so far. Wow, I'm having a great time. Then I read a little bit during dinner, and I still just don't feel like reading The Blonde Identity. I'm not in the mood. I'm actually in the mood for fantasy. So during dinner, I tried reading a few books. I read the first chapter of Serpent and Dove and The Kiss of Deception, and I read a few pages of Spells for Forgetting because I'm just in a fantasy mood, but none of them really hit. Like, this one does seem really interesting, but I definitely have to pay attention, and I kind of still need to multitask. So I need one that I don't need to pay as much attention to. So I checked for the audio on Libby, and City of Bones is available. If you are new to my channel, I've kind of mentioned a handful of times how I want to reread the entire Mortal Instruments Cassandra Clare universe. Like, I have read the first 3 or 4 books in this series, and then I stopped because I had to wait for them to be released, and I don't do well with that. And then next thing I know, it's a decade later and there's a gazillion books that have been released in that series. Ready to like dive back into that world again. So I think I'm gonna reread City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. It's been a hot minute. I've read this series before. I really enjoyed it up into the 4th one. I hated the 4th one, but everyone says that it gets better after that. So I'm willing to give it a try. And I know I love the first 3 books in this series, so I'm really excited to be back in this world. So I have the audio, I'm gonna start that. We now have 6 hours and 47 minutes left of this challenge to go. I think I can get a good chunk into it, especially since I've already read it. This is so nostalgic. You wanna say hi? Yeah. Hello friends, back at work today. I did a lot of listening last night and this morning, and I have 4 hours and 20 minutes and I feel a slump coming on. And I still have like 3 or 4 books that I need to read to wrap up some videos that I'm filming, so I'm a little nervous. I will say getting back into this book was a little tough. I think fantasy in general, you just have to pay more attention, and I've also read this book probably like 4 times because I would like go back and reread it when the most recent release had come out. I won't say I'm bored, but I'm not as like into it as I thought I was. That's what is making me think I'm about to hit a slump. So we'll see, but things are starting to pick up. Some of the pieces have finally put together. I kind of forgot a few of the things, and those are nice little reminders of the details and things like that. I think I'm gonna have like 100 pages left of this book by the time I finish this challenge, so I'll probably try and finish the book even if it goes over the time a little bit. So City of Bones is the shadow hunters. They hunt demons. Clary goes out. Her mom's been really cagey and really strict and kind of like over the top with her lately. Any little thing, her mom grounds her. Any little thing, her mom makes her stay home. She stays out late one night, and then her mom's like, okay, we're moving for the summer. Even though she promised to stay there, she's like has some classes she wants to take. Her best friend lives there. Clary's like, what the heck, no. So she goes out that night, and when she comes home, the apartment is trashed and her mom is gone. And there's like a crazy creature there. So I guess the veil has been ripped off. She runs into some kind of teenage shadow hunters. This self-assured, obnoxious, but also charming Jace, and his best friend Alec, and his sister Isabel. And now Clary's best friend Simon has just kind of like inserted himself into the equation because he's been really worried about Clary. Some of the people in her life are turning out to not be who she thought they were, so it's getting a little wild. And there's this mysterious person called Valentine who seems to have stolen her mother, or kidnapped her mother. Lots of things happening, lots of wheels turning. I don't know what else to tell you without spoiling it. That's the update. 4 hours to go. I need to finish it today. Like, it needs to finish today. And I'll see you when I finish.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nose.
Hey friends, it's the next day. I actually finished the challenge last night, but oh my gosh, I was so tired. I couldn't even like make coherent thoughts. So here I am to give you this today. This was such an eclectic mix, but this truly shows my reading personality, just like hopping all over the place. I do read a lot of romance, but I still enjoy reading a bunch of different kind of books. I definitely can't say I'm any one kind of reader, so this really kind of shows that about me. We have a mix of YA and adult, romance, literary, thriller, fantasy. I had such a good time filming this. Let me tell you my ratings and why I feel that way. For That's Not My Name, I'm gonna give this a solid 4 stars. It was really enjoyable to read. It had me on my toes. It felt action-packed, and it was a thriller in a way that didn't have my heart rate elevated too much. I didn't have crazy dreams, which is like the benchmark of how crazy and wild a book is. If I have crazy dreams, that means it's a wild book. And so I really appreciated that, and I saw some things coming, I didn't see other things coming, and I also appreciated that because I felt somewhat smart, but not like I had the whole book figured out. Then we have Yellowface, which I've been wanting to read for a little while. I'm so glad I finally picked it up. This was really fascinating and interesting. It threw around a lot of ideas that are quite uncomfortable. I think I'm gonna give this a 4 or like a 4.25. It really made me think, and I really appreciate that. And it was wacky. It was wild. Junie is a terrible person, but it's just so fascinating to think about the human psyche and how we can totally convince ourselves that something happened and that it was real and that we are justified in why we did something. Then we have Heartless by Elsie Silver. I'm so glad I picked this one up. It was so good. I give this a 5 star. Absolutely, it was so good. I ate it up. I almost started the next book in the series immediately because I'm just so in love with the series and the way that Elsie Silver writes and the banter and the characters, and it's almost always a 5 star in a romance novel when I love the characters by themselves, like both or all of the characters, and then I love them just as much if not more together, because not every romance book is like that, and that was like that. I loved both of them. Kate is such a big softie and I loved seeing him open up, and I loved Willa. She was so fun and so wild and so herself, and I especially loved the scene where she stood up for herself when Kate was being a jerk, because he was. She was just like, okay, bye, like I'm really gonna leave if you're gonna treat me like this. And he apologized, which I also appreciated. And he didn't just say it with words, but he showed it with actions, and I also really loved that. I love the setting. I love the family dynamic. It was so fun getting to know more about Willa. Anyway, I'm just so excited to continue the series. I'm in love with it. Then we have City of Bones, the first book in the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I have been wanting to do a reread of pretty much this entire universe for a while. The audio was available, and so that's why this got picked up just kind of randomly, and I'm not mad about it at all. I'm really glad to be back in this world. I have a few thoughts. I have to say I didn't love it as much as I did when I was younger, but that might be because I've read this so many times, because I always reread the books beforehand, before the release. Like, I read this book And then the second book came out, so I read this book, then the second book, and then the third book came out, so I read this book, the second book, and the third book, and then the fourth book came out, and I did that again. That's how I used to read. And so I've read this quite a few times. But I did feel like everything after the vampire situation, if you know, you know. After the vampire situation, I felt like that was all kind of new and fresh for me. I forgot a lot of those things that happened. So that was a really fun refresher. But I think the reason I didn't love it as much was because of the narration. Not the narrator necessarily, but I didn't realize this, and I didn't pick this up in my first reads, but the characters, the shadow hunters, come from Idris, which I believe is in Europe, and so they have different accents. And so I felt like the narration of them they all had very strong, very forced accents, and it really took away my enjoyment. I enjoyed physically reading this more than I did listening to that, and since I listened to more of it, I think that kind of affected my enjoyment. So I'm gonna test out in the future reading it just physically and see how that goes. I forgot how obnoxious Jace is. Like, he's endearing and charming, but he's so annoying. So I think it gets better in the rest of the series, I think. I'll give this a 4-star. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this 24-hour reading challenge. It really was a challenge. I am so tired and I'm trying to fight off a reading slump. So wish me luck. Thanks so much for joining me. If you made it this far, you might as well subscribe and join the fam. We'd love to have you. I hope you're doing well whenever and wherever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.